righty, so we can go ahead and get started. Well, hi guys, thank you all so much again for joining us. I'm sure a few more people will probably be trickling in, but even if it's just us, I still think this is a great conversation for us to have, all about just being Black content creators. So if ever you want to take part in the conversation, you can unmute, you can write something in the chat. Feel free to comment and let us know how you feel about things we're talking about. And actually, I'm just about to let a couple more people in. Hold on. Okay, letting somebody else in. So as we're going through, I'm going to be, if you ever see me like looking off, Chrystal, it's just because I'm trying to let people in. I'm paying attention though. Yeah, so guys, so if you don't know, I am Meg. I am from Meg's Got a Plan on Instagram. Also, I am half of the Planners and Wine podcast, and I am sitting here with the lovely Chrystal Johnson. She is a part of the current Archer and Olive design team. Chrystal, if you can introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about you.
So, hey everybody, I am Chrystal, as Megan just introduced me as. I am one of the design team members for the Archer and Olive design team. By day, I always like to tell people I am a registered nurse. I currently work in the COVID ICU, but I'll be upgrading and working my dream job, which is in the neonatal intensive care unit, starting next week.
Yes, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. And by night, I'm just the regular person that likes to create, whether that's crafting, planning, journaling, the works. And I am the owner of the Crystalina Perspective, the blog, the YouTube, and the Instagram page.
Yes, I love it. We are so happy to have you here and just talking about all of our experiences with being Black creators. And obviously, if you are an ally in the building, we are super happy to have you. I think this is a great opportunity for you guys to just hear our perspective and just hear all the ins and outs that goes into being a Black creative. So, Chrystal, can you kind of tell us like how and why you created your platform?
So honestly, the Crystalina Perspective did not start off as a art crafty journaling platform. It essentially started off as a platform that I used for mental health. Like right before creating it, I had recently gotten out of the mental health hospital. I spent a week there, and basically my current fiance, she found me half dead. And
Wow.
before I was fully dead, she ended up committing me to a mental health institution where I was doing an outpatient program, but I was lying. And so one day I invited her to come because I was like, I'm making so much progress in my mental health journey. And she read through it all and told the professionals that I wasn't okay, that I still had a plan, and that I still was working on a way to leave this earth. So after that, I felt empowered to help other people, especially Black people, understand that it's okay to get help, because we have so many stigmas, so many different things around mental health and mental wellness.
Yeah.
So that's the perspective started. It started off by me slowly sharing bits and pieces of my story. It started off by me slowly engaging people, challenging them to talk to a therapist, to seek help. And in the interim, I did a few fun things such as makeup, hair tutorial. And then it was in 2019 when I fully committed to the whole crafting world. Like the end of 2019, December 2019 to be exact. And all of 2020, you guys know we entered the whole panorama situation. And that is when I like got full-fledged into the community, start creating, and simply just wanted to share, but also inspire in the process.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey. I know that's probably a really tough thing to talk about, but I think it's definitely something that more people need to be more vocal and talk about, because I just think there's just still so much shame around mental health when there shouldn't be. There's nothing wrong with seeking help. We all need some help, at one point or another in our life. And I'm glad that you were able to find this creative outlet to be able to help you. So how has this creative outlet helped you?
Ooh, it has helped me significantly, like literally, like it is my holy grail. So during the pandemic, I worked as a nurse, but I wasn't like a COVID nurse. I was just a nurse in a clinic. But when I started working the bedside as a COVID ICU nurse, I really saw the importance of it. I know some people do it because you can like make money and stuff like that. But for me, I saw the value in getting creative and crafty. And that is how I stay sane. So if my mind wanders, because I get to moments where I just can't express myself. And that's a communication thing I'm working on with my therapist. But I go in my craft room, and my fiance know when I'm in that space that I am needing to process something.
Right.
And that's what I do. So that process can be a journal spread. It could be me scrapbooking. It could be me playing in my planners or doing a decorative spread or something. Sometimes it could even be me drawing. I don't draw all the time, but from time to time, I like to put a little pencil to paper.
Okay. Yes.
So I've learned the importance of therapeutic creativity and how important it is.
Absolutely. It really is. And guys, in the chat, or if anybody wants to answer out loud, like, let us know how has crafting and planning and creating and having this outlet, how has that helped you guys' as mental health, if it has helped you all's mental health too? Because I mean, I feel like for me personally, like I became a mom and a wife pretty much in a very short amount of time to each other. And I had a period of time where I was really kind of struggling to find my identity and find my joy, and to see what really what I liked, not just about what my partner liked or what my baby liked, but what does Meg like, what does Meg want to do, like who is Meg. Like sometimes when you have all these changes in your life, you can kind of have like an identity crisis, and I kind of feel like I had one. And through planning, I kind of felt like I found myself again, because now I had something separate from my family, separate from my friends, something separate from everybody else in my life that was just for me, that I had to just make myself feel better. And that's literally what it started out as. And literally it's like now, whenever I want my private time or my me time, like you're going to catch me like in the room, like with my planner and like maybe some wine or something, like leave me alone. Yes. And Myra said in the chat, it helped me to give time back to me and have fun. Absolutely. Patricia said, my motto is crafting saves lives. Crafting is therapeutic, gives me an outlet to express what I want to do creatively. Absolutely. I totally agree. If anybody else wants to speak on that, feel free to unmute and go for it. Or you can, like I said, you can just keep chatting. And anybody else who is just joining in, we're just getting started. Chrystal just introduced herself and gave a little bit of her background. And right now we're just talking about how crafting and content creating has just been such a therapeutic and great thing for our mental health. Especially as a Black creative online. And this is something that we talked about a couple weeks ago when we did our Zoom with the amazing Robin from Crafty Planner Queen. It's a lot. Like being in an online space as anybody is tough, but especially as a Black woman. We see so much racism, so much nastiness online, all type of hate comments. Like, have you experienced any negativity, Chrystal? And guys, also you all in the chat too, please tell us in the chat any negativity that you guys have experienced online and how you have kind of dealt with that. But Chrystal, you can go ahead and answer first for us.
So yes, I have, which is so crazy. I just find it so crazy how people, they can't have a conversation. It's like instead they go into attack mode. So for me, a lot of my negativity have come from me working with brands such as Archer and Olive. I've got a lot of backlash for this. But wow, people don't understand, when they don't understand something, their first reaction is to fight or to push back instead of to understand. So I faced a lot of negativity. I remember when we were announced as design team members, I had so many people to come after me in my inbox and was like, but you don't bullet journal, but you don't do this, you don't draw. And I'm like, you don't know what I do. Right. So much on social media. Like I don't show every single thing I do. Right. I show a snippet of what I can do. Yeah. And you also don't know what I'm capable of doing. And so I several people, both a combination of white and Black people, to do
Right.
that. They're just like, I don't understand why you're there. And then I unfortunately met a lot of comparison with my teammate who is on the team. And it was like, but she does this. And I'm like, we all have our things that we do.
Right.
Yes, she's amazing at that. That's not my thing. And that's okay. And so negativity from being a design team member, but backing up, I had someone to tell me, well, you're never going to get on any creative team or any PR team because you're all over the place. And I'm like,
wow,
I was to fit in a box with everybody else, how would that make me different? And it's okay that I don't have a color. Like, I know some people, they get caught up in like color schemes and all that. If that's their thing, cool. For me, I'm a colorful person. So you're going to get some pink, a lot of pink. You're going to get a rainbow here or there. You're going to get blue. You're going to get purple. You're going to get whatever colors I'm giving.
Right, right.
Me.
Yeah.
So with that negativity, at first I would let it get to me and it would get to me bad. But now I'm just like, those people may be unhappy in a way. So I can't feed into that, because when you start feeding into it, it messes with your self-confidence. And then you're like, dang, am I good enough? Because I went through that. I was like, am I even good enough to be on this design team? Like, I know I'm one or two Black people, but am I good enough? And my fiance was like, girl, they picked you for a reason, so shut up.
They did. Period. Yes. That is so true. And yeah, okay. So in the chat, Emily said that crafting helped her through the pandemic. She's always been a creative person and loved to scrapbook, color, etc. But finding time to not think about the state of the world was so important and very therapeutic. Absolutely. I think that during the pandemic was the perfect time for a lot of people to start. And hi, Sade. If anybody else wants to turn on your camera, don't be shy. I'm glad Sade just kind of, popped that cherry for the camera. Y'all don't have to be scared. There's Myra.
Finally.
Go.
Thank you.
Hi, Emily. Yes. And Myra asked a really great question as well. Hi, Siobhan. She said, do you feel you get compared because you are both Black? And are you compared to other design teammates? That's a great question, Myra.
That is. So most definitely, we both get compared to each other. And it's, well, I love Jerica. I wish she could be here tonight. I love her so much. But it's, well, she does this and she's so good at washi art. And I'm like, yes, she is. That's amazing. Yes. That is her thing. I'm good with putting a few washi strips down, but I'm not about to sit here and act like that's my thing to be like her, because that's not me.
Right.
And as far as the other design team members, sometimes we both do kind of get compared to other design team members, because it's like, well, they bullet journal. Why don't you have a bullet journal? And it's like, I don't have to have a bullet journal because Archer and Olive said, like, because that's what people know the brand as. The brand is more than just bullet journaling. Like, you can use for whatever you want to use them for. And so that is sometimes something that I have to educate people on, because they get so caught up in, well, this is how this brand presents itself. And it's like, understand, brands learn. Once they get new members in, they listen, they learn, and they're like, oh, okay, so you don't do that. And I'm like, no, I don't do that. That's amazing that people do that, but that's not what I do. And so it's just one of those things where both of us, we take our picks on stuff and we talk to each other. We have a really solid friendship. I can say that. And I believe Jerica can say that as well. And we just don't let that get to us. And like I said, at first it got to me a lot. Now I'm like, okay, next conversation. Talk about something else, because this isn't the conversation we need to be having.
Right, exactly. And it's like, obviously, if they wanted to pick people who were just carbon copies of each other, they would do that. But obviously they're very intentional, and I wish more design teams were very intentional about picking individuals who have different things to bring to the table. Like, what would be the point of putting you on the team and putting somebody else on the team who does exactly what you do? Why do we need to
Exactly.
see two people doing the exact same thing? We don't, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's really unfortunate. And like, especially like knowing, I mean, most of us, if not all of us, have had like mental health struggles and things like that. And that's why the internet can just really be such a negative place sometimes, because it's like the people who are in your DM saying those mean things to you, saying how you don't deserve to be on the team, all that, they're not thinking about nor caring about you as a human being and the things that you have been through. I mean, because my literally before anybody sends a message, you should be thinking, like, before you send that crazy message to somebody, what if this is the last thing that they read? You know, what if this was the one little thing that set them off, that pushed them over the edge to make a decision that they can't take back? Do I want to be the person that, you know, you just have to think about stuff like that? And I feel like they don't, and they don't care. And that's the really sad thing about the internet sometimes. And Myra said, and they will have something to say about everybody doing the same thing. Exactly. So why would you want a whole team of, you know, 20, 30 people, however, who are just going to be carbon copies of each other? Like, nobody wants that. Does anybody else want to share about any negative experiences they've had from being a Black content creator?
I'm sorry, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm late. This
You're
says it's
fine.
saying it's being recorded. Is this a safe space?
This is a safe space. So yeah, I'll go through that again. So it is recorded. It won't be like widely available on the Archer and Olive YouTube, but if people have a link, they'll be able to look at it. So, and the link will just be available on the Archer and Olive blog.
Oh,
basically.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So it's not like open to the whole YouTube public to like, you know, comment on, but if you have a link to it, then you'll be able to watch it.
Oh, okay. Just
for
reference.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yes, definitely the intention is for it to be a safe space. So I definitely want you guys to feel comfortable sharing as much or as little as you want to. You know, that's definitely up to anybody. But yeah, does anybody want to share about any, you know, not so great experiences they may have had, you know, being a Black creative on the internet? I know Myra got a few. She thinking.
I knew she was gonna make me talk.
I do it every time.
Every time. I guess in my experience, to me, it's more so having basically white tears weaponized against me.
Ooh,
if I, in a sense, basically call folks in, mostly white and white presenting women, it's instantly faced back with tears. I'm getting voice notes of them basically crying. So I guess my question is, and maybe Chrystal or Meg or whoever wants to oppose this, how do you set those clear boundaries? Because as most people know, I am very vocal, very open about kind of these harder topics. But how do we set those boundaries to basically not have those tears weaponized against me? Because it can be a lot.
Absolutely. This is definitely something me and Myra have been talking about a lot lately, because we have definitely both dealt with it. And it's like, I'm really just kind of getting to my wits end with it, to be honest. I feel like conversations like this will help, being vocal about how those things come off to us. Because literally, I was just saying to Myra yesterday, I was like, sometimes I feel like I can't even have a real conversation with certain people, trying to hold them accountable for certain, you know, racist or problematic behavior, without being met with tears and defensiveness and all these emotions. And I feel like it's almost like a way to make you feel guilty for trying to hold them accountable. And that's just not fair. Because if you're doing something to where somebody feels like they have to hold you accountable, then you probably did something wrong. And so to weaponize your tears or your emotions against people is just wrong. So I feel like one way for us to deal with that is to be extremely vocal about it. And I think for myself, like moving forward, when I encounter people like that and I attempt to hold them accountable, and then I met with that type of defensiveness, I'm just going to start cutting off communication. Like, you know, I don't understand why I can have a conversation woman to woman with the Black woman and this is not happening. But sometimes when I attempt to have one with the white woman or white presenting woman, I am met with that, and I'm just not going to deal with it anymore, because most of these situations are nothing to even be that upset about. And it does just seem like a manipulation tactic to distract from whatever you're trying to hold them accountable for. And it's not fair. It's not fair. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this? Feel free to write it in the chat if you don't want to speak out loud, or you can unmute and, speak on it.
So I think that it is definitely weaponized, and it's almost now like clout, like chasing clout. Like it's like using not just for your sympathy anymore or empathy. Yep. It's like, okay, I know if I say something to this person, they're going to be vocal in their response and use it as an example to show why it shouldn't be done. But it's almost like any publicity is good publicity to some people. That's true. And it's disgusting, but that's what I see happening. And as far as setting that boundary, it's lit. You gotta, girl, you have to block people. And even if it's with the quickness, okay, you get a quick invitation to the block party, okay?
Period.
7 p.m. the DJ gonna be there, block, like block. Because really, I think that's it's becoming popular almost just to have something to say, even if it's not, positive or anything promoting what we're trying to do. Just to be a part of the conversation, even if you're, making the conversation go backwards. It's really sad. Yeah, but it's true. Happening.
It is. That's the conversation. Actually, Sade and I had a little bit of that conversation today. And I was telling her my way of dealing with that is that I believe in being authentic. And I feel like I've gotten a lot of unfollows for that. I'm not going to, if I feel like something isn't serving me, I can't dwell in that place. So I disassociate. I'm like, okay, we can't have this conversation. We can't be adults. Block. Like it just I'm not gonna go back and forth with you over the internet. That's what I'm not going to do, because if you're not open-minded, you're not willing to grow, you're not trying to do better, you just want to for 1 minute be like this, and then you want to flop, and I can't do the flip-flopping. I just can't. So it's really sad that it gets to that point. Me, like I said, Sade and I was having a conversation. One of the things is the LGBT community. People want to say they support us. We dare. Don't come in June bringing me no rainbows, talking about you support me, when I have asked several different people in this moment, do you support me? Because I am getting married. I have no stickers. I'm trying to support some people, and you quiet. Don't come in June with nothing, because the minute I say something, then you're going to be, oh, well, my shop supported, or I support. No, you didn't. You didn't.
Yep.
And I disassociate from you, because that's not healthy for me and my mental health. And I've been to a place with my mental health, and I'm not going back.
Period. Yes. I feel like people are kind of starting to co-opt the word ally and really taking it and running with it when they have no idea what it really means to truly be an ally. And a lot of them aren't even interested in knowing what it truly means to be an ally. They're just it's just a label that looks good, just like racist is a label that looks bad. Rather than focusing on not being racist, they're super obsessed with not appearing racist.
It's like the new for like the content creating world now. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be an ally and we're in this thing together, and then the minute we need you to really be an ally, you gone. Like, where you go?
You gone. Exactly.
Let's share this book list.
The books. Yes.
Let's watch all these great shows on Netflix.
Yep, that's true. Patricia said something really good in the chat too. She said it's still amazing of the dismissiveness of Black talent out there continuously getting ignored. Not speaking of just planner brands, but specifically also scrapbook and design teams. Companies continue to re-recruit the same faces. That is definitely true. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a cycle, because it's like people see who like the most popular or like the it people are, in the online communities, and those are the people that they go for. But it does suck, because it is just using the same people over and over again. And obviously, like on a lot of these design teams, I don't see a lot of the same white people or white presented people, but it can be a lot of the same Black people. And it's like, a lot of companies are just choosing those specific people, who either have, bigger platforms or whatever the situation is to work with, when there is tons of talent and tons of us out there for them to be able to work with. Yeah, that's so true. So we're kind of talking about, defending ourselves against, problematic behavior and things like that. Something that I know I have dealt with, something I know Myra has dealt with, Chrystal, you probably all of us on here have dealt with. Sometimes when we are vocal about things, even when we're vocal in the nicest, sweetest, most respectful ways, we can still get labeled as the angry Black woman. At least nowadays, they know better than to call us that. But it's basically inferenced in a lot of, in how they present us or how they want us to come off. So how do we fight against that labeling? Like, how do we continue to speak up and speak out to the things that we don't agree with on social media without having to deal with that label? And yes, Myra, it's called starting drama. Starting drama is the new she's an angry Black girl, because they always associate that with Black women from what I've seen. So who wants to start off about how can we fight against that?
I can say something about this, actually.
Yeah,
it might not play into the planner community so much. I feel like I've been blessed, or maybe it's just I don't know what it is, but nobody has come at me with any BS. Mm-hmm. But what I will say is that I think the way that I've really been able to combat the whole she's an angry Black woman is I finally feel like, especially in my professional life, that I'm in a place where I can be my authentic self. So, how I talk, my mannerisms, things like that, people are starting to notice, at least in my new career space, that, this is who she is. And It's not that she's angry. Clearly she feels passionate about something, and maybe we just need to listen. Mm-hmm. I actually went to therapy today. So I know someone said therapy earlier, but I was telling my therapist earlier today, I says, I always dwell on, if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't let people talk to me how they do. And also I wouldn't let that stereotype, really have as much of an impact on my professional career that it has. And I really feel like, if anything, instead of so you think I'm an angry Black woman, then why do you think I'm mad? Because clearly it's not something that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. It's something that you're doing. And it's the fact that I felt for all of these years, that I needed to code switch, and, Emily, don't go up in here acting a fool in front of these white people. That was always at the forefront. So me always having to push back my comfortability so that you were comfortable around me. We're not doing that anymore. No. So I think that's kind of where I am. And I do honestly feel like, if I were ever presented with, Rag keep playing she's that angry Black woman, I'm sorry, or you must be new. So let me just go ahead and reintroduce myself as to who I am, and then we can go ahead and keep it moving from there. So that's really been my experience. Myra is gonna get mad when I say this, but I'll be 36 in 2 weeks. And I still can't believe that I am finally at this place now, that it took me being in the workforce for 20 years to get to the point where it's like, oh, I'm just going to be myself. And if that's a you problem, not a me problem, if you don't like it. So,
yes. And
I only say Myra's going to get mad that I say that because she doesn't think I look my age. So,
no, she doesn't. I feel like a lot of us can, agree with that experience that you had, that is taking us till X age to be like, no, this is who I am. And if you have a problem with, what I say, that's a you problem, not a me problem. Because I feel like we are taught that growing up is low-key kind of a defense mechanism for us to kind of protect who we are and assemble into these mostly white spaces.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have been, like, if I think back about it, like, you don't go and, really give your true authentic self in this corporate world, if they say you have any questions, like, you probably just won't say anything or keep it PG. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a defense mechanism to make sure you keep your job and your livelihood.
Right.
But I do appreciate that now we're kind of getting to this place where it's like, no, what you think of me or what you perceive of me is your business, not mine. And I'm going to be my authentic self.
Yep, exactly. No, that's so true. Oh, was somebody else about to talk?
Oh,
go ahead, Chrystal.
With that wholeheartedly. My whole take on it is respect. Like and my fiance Jasmine will tell you guys, I'm big on that. Oh, you don't want to respect me? Cool. I'm gonna walk away. As a nurse, it's been stigmas. You do as the doctors say. As a woman, you don't ask questions. You don't. I'm asking questions, and I'm not gonna just do as you say because you hold this degree and this license. I hold one too. So we're going to communicate. And if you can't come to a point to where you can communicate with me effectively, I'm going to go get someone that can help us to communicate, because I'm not going to injure anyone, but you're also not going to disrespect me because I'm not disrespecting you. And I'm also not angry.
Exactly. Siobhan said, drink water and mind my business, period. Exactly. Like, stop it. Sade, did you want to say something?
Yes. So coming from a different perspective, because I've always been overly comfortable and very self-aware from a young child, and always extremely vocal in all settings through school. Yeah. I remember the first major thing was always my name. People always saying my name wrong. Of course, they want to call me Sadie and everything else. No, my name is Sade. You know, from like kindergarten, put some respect on my name. Okay. Period. Always. Okay. But so I've always been very vocal, and that always leads me to being the bully, the mean girl, you know, and even like viewed as militant, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's fine. You know, so just the other side of it, where I'm still not to where I'm not being referred to as angry. I'm still not there yet. Like, it's like at work, it's actually where I'm the most expected to be my full self. If I'm not vocal, they think something's wrong that day, right? So now flip side, bringing it back to planner community specific, or this crafting community specifically, that's where I find the most issues, because I think that I don't know what it is, but it's something that's strange when it's like you're not expected to speak outside of your turn or whatever. Yeah. And even, you know, even like this, I said, the first thing I said is this a safe space? Because you're limited. Even I'm looking at nothing but beautiful brown faces, Black girls, but I still have to check that because of who's hosting, who, you know, the company that put this on, right? Just in case, I don't know.
Right, like, that's fair.
Yeah, you don't know. And even more recently in December, I spoke up to a major planning brand about an experience I was having on their team. Information that I knew directly, and mistreatment that I was receiving, specifically favoritism that was happening. I was being excluded. And the only reason I could explain that why I was being excluded was because I was Black. I was only getting Black specific. I was basically like typecasted. I was only getting Black girl stuff. Everybody else was getting different types of stuff. I wasn't. When I said something about it, I was called a bully publicly, even though I had a private conversation with this person. I was publicly called a bully and basically like blasted, you know, and it's like weaponizing the word bully. So like earlier when you said angry and attitude, bully is like the thing now. And Myra said something in the chat, but I can't see the chat. I'm not on a laptop. But you know, it's like these like trending words that they use, and it's like, no, I'm speaking up on something you're doing and you don't want to take accountability. So now I'm bullying because I'm not backing down on what you're doing wrong.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I don't have an answer to the question, but that's just my personal experiences that are ongoing. And I don't know when we can expect relief from that, honestly.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And what Myra had said, she said, how you going to colonize a negative stereotype? Right. Like how can you do that? Exactly. And for me, it's just come down to, because I feel like I've been labeled whether I speak up or not. I've been labeled whether I'm angry or not. I've been labeled whether or not I have an attitude or not in the workplace, in corporate America, and also in this planner and crafting community. Like it's like they're just looking for ways to label us no matter what we do. So why even, why waste our time code switching? Why waste our time playing these games and not being who we truly are when we can just be who we are? Because people are going to think whatever they want to think, no matter what. As Black women, they're going to make up their minds immediately about us anyway. So it's just been, I mean, my space has been peaceful ever since I just started to truly accept who I was, and that people were just going to get what they were going to get. And I just stopped caring about being labeled as the angry Black woman. Okay, I'll be that. That's fine, because you're going to know how I feel and you're not going to walk over me. So if I have to be an angry Black woman to have you respect me, then I'll do that. So, y'all, this conversation. Emily said
previous like to piggy, like it's because as the Black woman, we're not supposed to be as knowledgeable as we are. We're not supposed to be able to do what we can do. We don't have the talents we have. We're not supposed to possess those. But it's like, can y'all get over this? This is who we are. We are here. We're not going nowhere. Get over it. Stop. But I don't know these folks, child.
Yep, it's too much. It's too much. Emily said in the chat, at previous jobs, it always baffled her that her silence always scared the shit out of people. Yeah, that's the thing. They do that too. It's like when you don't have something to say, they're looking at you crazy. And when you do have something to say, they're gonna look at you crazy. So it's just like there's no winning. So you might as well, the only way to win is to just be yourself and just to not care. And not caring is definitely easier said than done. But it's just a work in progress. It's just a work in progress. And Chrystal said, it's intimidation. So sad. Why can't we be our authentic self? But you can. It's like we can be our authentic self, but there's a limit. We can be our authentic self until we're speaking out against something that they love or they want or they're a part of. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do you all day until they don't like what you're doing. Then you can't do you anymore.
But half the time they be fake themselves. Like they don't even know what their authentic self is, to where sometimes they're just intimidated by the authenticity of you. I mean, that's literally just the issue.
A whole word.
Because like before, like I was in the planner community way in the beginning, like with New Orleans started, all that and everything else. And like I couldn't say anything. And Ileana, who's my best friend, who's a white passing Mexican, I would literally just be like, girl, I'm gonna be over here on the side. Like, just send me some stickers because I'm not dealing with these folks, because it was definitely giving me, I went to TCU, a very predominantly white institution. And in that, I kind of learned the hard way because it's so hard because like, this is the thing, like I come from a family of teachers. Mm-hmm. And then whenever I got woke in college, I was like, shit, everybody got to need to know this shit. And so I was like telling everybody, and if nobody accepted it, I was just like, cool, you just not there yet, but I'm gonna keep telling them, like keep telling the truth and keep being honest. And it was kind of just how I was born and raised. Like I was raised in the South anyway, Southern Baptist, like, D9s raised me. Like we go from first grade all the way to kindergarten. Oh, you need to look up a scientist. Okay, I found me a Black one. Oh, astronaut, a Black one. Oh, you need to do this, a Black one. Like I was that student in the classroom. So then like, to me, sometimes like when white people, oh, I can't understand you. Oh, that's fine. I could talk to you in Times New Roman, 12 font size, double space, all around. Like, don't play me. Like, I can articulate, make my words be known, and vice versa. But the issue yourself, I was losing myself trying to teach people. But then yet at the end of the day, when the audience is not authentic, you can't, like, you always gonna be fake to fake people.
Ooh. Girl, put that on a t-shirt, Nunu. I mean, you always gonna be fake to fake people. Absolutely. Because they're putting it out in the world, and so they think that the only thing they're receiving back is fakeness too. Because real recognize real and fake recognize fake. So that's a word. Joya, I don't want to mispronounce it. I think it's Joya. Jealousy in its purest form, not knowing what they want to be, but see something they admire and get mad that they don't have that characteristic. Yep. Totally agree. So let's pivot a little bit. So we kind of talked about, not real, fake allyship a little bit. Let's talk about real allyship. How can allies support Black content creators? What is the best way for people who are interested in being real, authentic allies? How can they best support us? Chrystal, do you want to start this off?
I will. The best way I would say is to, like, if you see a fault, don't sit there and say I'm an ally, but then don't think that your word carries weight, because it actually does. Speak up, say something. Don't sit there in the shadows and then, behind the corner, you then want to speak. No, speak up then in that moment and say, no, this isn't right. We need to stop this. This is how we fix this. This is how we educate ourselves on this. But it's a lot of people that don't do that. They'll say, oh, I'm an ally. And the minute some come up that we need you to ally for us about, you gone. And then you want to come back and then no, speak up in that moment, squash it, because a lot of stuff can get squashed before it even get to us. Yes. But people like the allies don't do that. The drama have been spread all through the community. And then one of us have to come in and be cleanup crew and be like, no, this is it. This is the education behind it. But then you an ally. How? You're not. Right. You're just a phony that wants some followers, wants some views. And now all of a sudden, when you had the opportunity to be authentic and do that, you blew it. So,
Yep, that's facts. That's facts.
Speak up, like from the get-go, squash it before we even have to get to it.
Yep, that's true. Amara just said in the chat, she said, don't DM saying this ain't right. Yes, I know. Tell your people. Right. We know what's right.
We should, I feel like if you're a true ally for something, you shouldn't have, it shouldn't get to the point. So for example, let's use LGBT because that's something I'm, passionate about.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have to get to me for me to have to say something to the people to correct the action. You should have beat to the punch. You should have been there. Bam, I got you. I'm an ally. This is how this works.
Yeah.
But you want to wait and then I gotta get on my camera and say something, or I gotta do a live for 4 hours and say something, and you mad. Like, no, you should have said something first. You should have been that ally that you said you were. Be real. Don't be fake about it. Be real. People are so, they're so, if I say something, then, oh my God, you said you was an ally. So say so.
Say something. Yep. Yeah. You shouldn't have to wait until, a Black person or a LGBTQ person until you have their stamp of approval to decide you want to take a stand on something. Like, you don't need us to co-sign everything before you get out there and speak out and do the right thing. That's so true. Emily said the best way to be an ally is to do your own research. Google is free. Do not go to your Black friends and ask about their experiences. We shouldn't have to relive our trauma so you can have a light bulb moment about humanity. Ooh, family, that is a whole word. And yes, and it's like, if you're still listening and learning 2 years after George Floyd was murdered, you need to do something else, because it's not clicking. It's not clicking.
Can I just say just one thing real quick? I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
And one of the primary reasons why I say that, so I am born and raised in Des Moines, Iowa. And so I have always gone to predominantly white schools.
Yeah.
And, I went to a predominantly white university, like Nunu, even though it was a small college, and I currently work at a D1 PWI now. And, in the number of times, whether I was in elementary school, whether I was in middle school, where I was in high school, where I was in college, to where I have literally had teachers and professors ask me, well, Emily, what about your experience? And I have literally had to say, I am not the poster child for Black people. Don't ask me these questions. Yeah. I don't feel comfortable sharing my story because I don't need people picking it apart. The fact that it would almost be like I was being rude, it's, again, do your research. I'm not the one. I'm not the one, the two, or the three. And I get to share my story with who I want. And 10 out of 10 times, it's not going to be y'all. So that's like my number one thing, especially when Plannergeddon, what was it, part 2? I think when that happened, you had all of these creators talking about, well, so you guys, DM me some books to read because I want to be informed. And I'm like, Wait, Black History Month was like 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
There were lists then. Why didn't you just go back to that? So that's really where that comes from for me. Exactly. And it's just like, I'm not here to do the work. Unless you're going to pay me, then I'll give you all the books that you could possibly read. But until we get to that point, I need you to utilize Google.
Period.
Oprah got a book list. Like Oprah publishes a book list monthly. Pick one.
Pick one. Go ahead, Sade.
So for me, I think it's like monopolizing off of the culture and not being equally supportive of the culture, as well as it not being ongoing. Like, it's just like for the moment, it's hot right now because it's Black History Month. It's hot right now because somebody talked about it on a podcast. It's hot right now because people arguing. Like, it should be like ongoing. Ally means all the time, consistency.
Yes.
And not like, oh, I need some views, I'm gonna culturally appropriate this reel of this Black woman singing. Oh, I'm going to copy and paste something someone posted and not give them, I'm gonna crop their name out or whatever. I think that's the easiest thing people can do. Once they finish all their book reading, they can start doing that.
Did they finish the books? That's a question though. Did you even finish the book?
Wow, they ain't reading that books. I be charging people up. So what did you think, y'all? Girl, I be asking, what did you think about this part of the book? This is what I think you would appreciate it the most. They don't be knowing because they leave me on red. You ain't reading nothing. And you taking my content. Go sit down. Okay, I'm going on mute because I'm
several seats, girl. I know this conversation is triggering. It's triggering because we're just talking about all these experiences and it's a lot. Joya said being an ally isn't just sharing something someone also already shared. There's more to it. Yeah, I mean, if your whole allyship is you just reposting, copy and pasting words from Black people, people of color, LGBTQ people, then that's not doing what you think it's doing. Christina said there is a legacy that says the world can and will mistreat Black women, and Black women should be quiet about it. What happens in my house stays in my house is one example of how this shows up. We could be here talking about fishing and the world will still find a way to disrespect us and be offended. If we have the nerve and audacity to protect ourselves, be audacious, ladies. Yes, Christina, absolutely. So we kind of talked about a little, how can allies support Black content creators? Y'all know, especially in this planner community, there has definitely been a lot of division between everybody at some point. So how can Black content creators best support each other? Like, how can we be there for each other and stop with the, divisiveness that goes on even amongst ourselves, unfortunately, sometimes? Chrystal, you want to pop that off?
Okay, so I'm gonna say this because this is something that just been bothering my little spirit. We gotta stop competing and thinking that everything has to be a luxury. Not everything has to be a competition, and not everything has to be a luxury. It's okay if your sis over there got the $150 product and this person is just doing a printable. That's okay. Yeah. It's enough room for everybody. And we are our worst enemies. We literally like crabs in the bucket. Like right now, me and Sade was having this conversation. Like, it's like, one company see this sister doing this or this brother doing this. Then the next company is like, oh, I'm gonna do it. And it's like, we all got our unique talents. That's why we started what we started. So first, it has to start with the shop owners. Maybe the content creators need to do it too first. Somebody needs to do it first. The competition has to stop. Like, it's, oh, well, I'm the Black bullet journaler, or I'm the Black scrapbooker, or I'm the Black. We all Black, y'all. We all got room. It's room for all of us. We all can do those. Or I'm gonna compare my podcast to Planners and Wine. Why does Planners and Wine even matter to what you're doing?
Exactly.
It does. So before we truly support each other, we got to stop comparing and competing with each other, because there's no competition. Like, the competition is you being able to decide whatever content you're going to create and challenge yourself to do it. And then second of all, be authentic. Like, don't be spiteful. Like, I hate that. Like, oh, well, I don't like this company, but I'm gonna be spiteful and I'm gonna go over here and say something about this company on my platform and think this is gonna make that company or this person, because we do that too, this person, or well, I don't stand with Myra because X, Y, and Z. Why? Why are we even doing any of that?
What's the point? So, right.
Stop the competition. And then after we stop that competition, then maybe we can start supporting each other. And when you authentically support people, you ain't even got to buy all their stuff. It's not always about buying people's stuff. Sometimes you sharing and putting it out there for somebody that may be in your community that may not even know that Myra exists. Supporting. Or, you know, maybe you saw something that they said, quote them. Don't take their stuff and then be like, well, I did their style. If you like a style of they planning, man, this was a really, really nice style. Joya did an amazing job. I do that all the time. Joya is into foiling. I'm like, y'all, I got some new foil. I don't know how to use these stickers, but I'm gonna put them on this page. So it's about supporting the person who you got that idea from. Don't take nobody's idea, because when somebody come take your idea, you're going to feel some type of way. So we have to stop doing the whole bashing each other and truly supporting. Supporting is giving people their credit to their work. Supporting is sharing. Supporting is commenting. You know, if you really like something, it's okay to come in and say, Sade, them pens cute, although you own 175 of them. You know, it's okay to do that. So that's true. To make connections. And I feel like we don't support people wholeheartedly because we don't connect. We also out here wondering how we gonna come up with the baddest content to beat that person, and that person. And we ain't even made no connections.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true.
That is the thing that resonates with me, because I have so many people that'll come in my inbox and be like, oh, well, I thought that was a good idea that you did. And I'm like, I appreciate that, but can we connect? Can I figure out who you are? Because I'm big on sharing stuff. I'll share the heck out of something, you know, but my thing is I want to connect with people. So we need to build that connection so we can support each other. And that way, it's no need for competition, because I know what you bring, and it's not what I bring, and that's okay too.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's enough success for all of us, and it doesn't have to be this mentality, oh, this person got this opportunity, so that means they took it from me. Opportunities, money, you know, design teams, all these things come a dime a dozen, and trust me, there is enough for all of us. Siobhan, did you want to say something?
Yeah, hi. Well, actually, what I was going to say is you all hide it very well, because I am very new to the whole planning community, and it's because I keep buying these planners and I never use them. I have all this story around life. Never use them. So this is why I have been reaching out and joining the different planner groups, and I find y'all support each other. So hearing this background is like, okay, I've never seen, you know, on my little feed, I have never seen the competition. I've always seen, you know, y'all will list 10 people and 10 shops, and, you know, y'all will say, hey, check out this person, check out that person. And, you know, so, and I've even had conversation with Chrystal, and she would tell me about different shops or whatever. So y'all hide this competition that you're talking about, y'all hide it very, very well. I have missed it.
Go ahead, Sade.
Sorry, I'm gonna keep talking, y'all. I'll be running my
mouth. Girl, please.
So, I think it's a lot of course, like exclusivity is a huge marketing tool, right? Making people feel like what they're getting is like so nice, and you have to get it. It's only a few. You gotta get it. You gotta rush. But I think it's also like the cart snatcher mentality, like that right there to me is the biggest correlation to crabs in a bucket, if there was none. Like, I'm not about to sit on a live with all the people I thought we was cool with and talk about how, oh, you better run, sis, because I'm about to snatch it. No, I'm not doing no cart snatching. Like, I think that's the nastiest part of a lot of the shop, like gang followers, supporters, or whatever, because I think that makes I think that creates divisiveness that isn't necessary.
True.
And it's weaponizing, exclusivity, because just order more. Like, why aren't you properly that? Like, why don't you have enough stuff? People want it, but then it's all like marketing, but it's negatively impacting Black community specifically, because it's like, we're only gonna list this many dolls, and you gotta be there, or your cart gonna get snatched. Like, I think that is really negative. But like, if everyone keeps shopping it, everyone keeps like, I talked to somebody, she said she had $4,500 in her Afterpay. I said, oh my God, I ain't even got Afterpay. That made me nervous. And it ain't even mine. But that's because it's like pressure to feel like I need to get it. I'm not gonna get it. It's so exclusive. It's gonna get snatched up, And that I think it turned me away from a lot of like groups and gangs and teams or whatever. I don't know what to say. But I was like, okay, I can't hang with that. And even like the Facebook groups, girl, it get real crazy in the Facebook groups. And it's that same, I feel like the same mentality gets pushed over there too, where it's like, oh, if you're not showing your order of $200 every week, you can't be in this crew. It's like, So I think like the less we feed into that, that's the better we can support each other, because everybody can't do that. And even if they can't, it's not probably the best thing to do, but if that's what you want to do every week, okay. But I think that's how we can better support each other. Like, as Black girls, like, we don't have to, like, you don't have to feel pressure to post your order every time you buy something. So, like that right there is like, I think we should do away with that completely.
Yeah.
No matter the shop.
I totally agree. Because like you say, it does just create divisiveness and competition. And at the end of the day, if we don't have each other back, then who gonna have our back? Like, at least needs to start somewhere. And you know what? Something we can do now, anybody who wants to, is completely voluntary. But if you want to put your Instagram handle in the chat, check out each other pages. If you like what you see, go ahead and follow each other. That's support right there. And we can start it right here. So go ahead and drop your ads if you want to. It's voluntary. Everything is voluntary.
I will gladly follow, but there is nothing to see on my page. But I follow everybody.
That's okay. And yes, guys, just take a screenshot of the chat if you guys want to, so that you can have each other pages, check out each other pages. I just love the direction that this conversation went. I think it was just such a healthy, and it honestly kind of felt kind of therapeutic, because sometimes you just want to say what you feel, like, unencumbered, without having to think too hard about it or having to worry about what people are going to say. I think having conversations like this is always healthy. We can definitely do it again. If anybody is interested, Myra and I will be hosting a conversation next Thursday on this exact same Zoom link, where we will be talking about representation, diversity in the community, kind of piggybacking off of this conversation and maybe diving a little deeper into it. So definitely feel free to join us next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. Chrystal, thank you so much for being here and letting us, pick your brain, for sharing your experiences, for being so open. You're absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that you are a part of the Archer and Olive design team, because I think that you are just a great example of, to how to be. You a nurse, like, you literally saving lives. Like, girl, you doing it. I love you, and I'm so thankful for you.
Thank you so much. I will conversation more. I want more of these conversations to happen. I've just been fed up with a lot. I'm gonna say that, but you have to have a safe space. Sade mentioned that earlier, a safe space to talk. And I've talked individually to a few people that are actually on here. It's a few new people that I'm meeting. So Christina, I gotta connect with y'all. Hey, don't block me when I come in your inbox. Just talk to me. It out there, but these conversations need to be had. It's so much more we can talk about. It's so much more we can say, and we don't need that whole well, you just angry, because I'm not angry. This is valid conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I need people with open minds that's going to listen, that's going to help me to be a change in this community. So.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful to Archer and Olive for giving us this space. But to be honest, we don't need Archer and Olive to give us a safe space. We can make our own safe spaces and continue to have these conversations together. And to, yes, my passion does not equal anger. Exactly. So yeah, guys, take some screenshots of the chat as you go so you can check out each other's pages. I appreciate you guys so much for joining, and I hope I will see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. Thank you to everybody who participated. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Chrystal, you can hang out for a minute.
Okay.
Let's stop recording.